Bad dog. That's better. Welcome back to Weekly Christmas. This time around, it's the best week of overdress news because we finally got Brandt Gate cards. Now, real quick, right before we get into the actual news, I wanted to just thank this month's YouTube channel members. So huge shout out to Crowned Clown, Very Flores, Platinum Wolf 2009, Christian, Kairos Darkblade, Carrie Barger, Preeper66, Arcana Master, Tristan H, and Jan Fish. So thank you so much for supporting the channel. And I want to give it another little added thing here is that I think until now, like the only real big bonuses that I've given to channel members is that, you know, you get access to like special things on Discord. But starting from this month, actually, I started doing remote fight tournaments for Twitch subs and YouTube channel members. They are free entry, they are limited space, and I switch between time zones in order to try to let as many people enter as possible. So this weekend we have a standard tournament happening, so if you want to get part of it, if you are a channel member, make sure you go to my Discord, you link your Discord with your YouTube if you're a channel member, or with your Twitch if you're a Twitch sub, and you'll have access to the tournament chat in which you'll be able to sign up for the tournament if you want to. For this first month, I'm kind of testing things out to see if things work smoothly or not, so there aren't big prizes yet up for grabs, but because like a YouTube channel membership or Twitch sub is basically the price of an entry to locals, I want to, you know, going forward in future months, especially once we get towards the overdress release, I want to add stuff like, you know, the overdress starter decks, or maybe even a booster box in the future for bigger events. And I think, you know, leading into Springfest Online, this is great practice for you guys as well, because that will be with the remote fight format. So yeah, if you're a YouTube channel member, then make sure you connect your Discord to your YouTube so you can actually participate in these tournaments, and I hope to see you there. Anyway, back to the video. At long last, from the 5th starter deck, we have Brandt Gate. But of course, before that, we have a couple other things to take a look at for today's video. So of course, we had cards of the day ever since Wednesday leading up to today that are basically filling up those set lists for those 5 starter decks. And it looks like from next week onwards, we're going to start getting booster set reveals as well. So that's going to be really, really nice. But let's take a look at some of the other cards that have been revealed until now. So we got Dugar, which is one of the Stoicheia cards. So this one just says if you have 4 or more other rear guards, he gets plus 5k. Basically, another 15k attacker. But again, this kind of folds to defensives, as I've kind of said before with a lot of these other Stoicheia cards from last week. They also showed the second grade 3 from the Dark State starter deck, which was the Time Fishering Fist Colossus, and they showed it in English too, which was really, really nice. So his skill is when you call him, you soul charge 1, and if you are in final rush state, count +1 to get 15k. I like this a lot because not only does this give you extra resources for the actual mechanic that the deck can do, this also gives you a 28k beater for count +1, and the deck isn't using that much count so far, so I feel like this is going to be pretty nice, especially for this like starter deck format that we're going to have for the first couple weeks of the actual starter decks coming out. And also, it is a Gear Chronicle aesthetic, and I'm really happy to be seeing like stuff that isn't just spikes already in the starter deck. Like we've seen spikes, we've seen Pale Moon, now we've seen gears, so we're just missing dark irregulars basically. Then we also got some of the Keter Sanctuary reveals, and we basically got shadows and gold. So for shadows, we have Ramana over here, who basically says when she attacks, count +1 to gain 5k for that battle. So she's also grade 3, you know, one of the other grade 3s of the deck, so that's really cool. She's an 18k beater, which of course is going to turn into, what is it, 20 I think, due to Bastion giving her an extra +2k. So that's pretty good. You know, this deck is essentially just like beater city, you know, with like big numbers and being able to restand them, which is really, really big. I think that honestly this starter deck looks pretty good. A lot of people are saying it's the worst one, but in my opinion, like having all these big beaters that attack for such big numbers is a pretty huge deal. Like you put an 8k boost behind this, you're swinging for 28, and that's going to be pretty big. Like it's hard to guard with the way that the shield powers are looking, so I think it's looking pretty good in my opinion. And then they also gave us a gold paladin looking one, which is the Rafruk. So Rafruk, you can put him into your soul from the rearguard circle and give one of your grade 3 rearguards plus 10k power. So if your hand is flooded with attackers, I guess you can power up another one and then basically just give them a huge boost and then call another attacker, and that's it. You can continue your big beatdown. Keter really feels like big beatdown dot deck. We'll see how they improvise on it and how they improve on it in the future, but I think that overall it looks really, really good. And then the card that a lot of us have been waiting on, the order card for Dragon Empire. With this, all we're missing for Dragon Empire to start playtesting the actual deck is the triggers. Once we know the trigger effects, we'll be able to start playtesting, and I can't believe they're still not showing it to us. It's another week where we haven't seen them. We've seen them on the streams in low quality, but we just can't figure out what it says, and it hurts so bad. But the order for Dragon Empire is Sunburst Evolution, and what I like about this card is that the art, first things first, looks amazing. This looks borderline like a buddy fight card, honestly. It looks so damn cool. and it just, I don't know, like I love the pose, I love the art, I love the colors, everything about it looks really cool and makes me want to play Dragon Empire in general too. And what we're also seeing is that normal orders have a blue border, so that's something that people thought like, oh, it's going to be the border of the nation because the first order we saw was from Dark States, but no, it looks like every single order card will have a blue border, as we can see on the bottom there. So that's definitely pretty cool that they have a sort of like coherent style to them rather than being different for each nation, which people expected at first. But what does this one actually do? It's Kanobas 1, and I like the wording of it. It's Kanobas suru koto de play dekiru, and it's like exclamation mark. So it basically says like Kanobas 1 to play exclamation mark, and I like the exclamation mark. It reminds me of Buddy Fight, and I really like that. And then of course the effect of this card is choose one of your units for that turn, give it plus 5k power, and then choose a Verena from your drop zone and add it to your hand. So of course for the starter deck there's only the grade 2 Verena, but from the looks of the DBT01 cover art, it looks like there is a Verena that is in there too, potentially grade 3, we'll find out. But this looks like a really important card for the deck. I think that this will be your main way to recycle Verenas, you know, and just to keep entering overdress state over and over again. So I think it'll be pretty important. You can also guard with them and then be able to like revive them with this skill as well and power stuff up at the same time. So it's pretty simple, but it's pretty good. You know, like salvaging stuff from the drop zone is really nice. And then finally, today's card of the day was the Silas. So Silas is a Stoicheia card, and he says once per turn, Soul Blast 2 to reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a unit, call it to Vanguard circle, and if not, then put it into your hand. As an effect, this is really good. As an effect, this is amazing because you get either plus to the board or plus to the hand, but it's Soul Blast 2 in a deck that's already Soul Blasting for basically every single effect. How much more will they continue doing this until they start Soul Charging? I'm expecting the order, to be honest, for Stoicheia to be a Soul Charge order as well, because at this rate, everything is Soul Blasting. There's less things Counter Blasting than there is how many things are Soul Blasting, so I don't know. I feel like they need to start maybe pushing a bit more Soul Charge here before you start just not having enough soul to use any of these effects. And you especially won't have any soul to use with these effects once you see the Brandt Gate cards, because oh boy. So for those that don't know yet, let's take a look at the new cards for Brandt Gate. So the first one they showed was the grade 1 of the starter deck, which is the Keanite Blue. Her skill is pretty simple. When you ride her, whether from the ride deck or from hand, you get to search your deck for one prison card, reveal it, put it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. So prison cards, huh? Let's take a look at what that's going to be in a second, because first we have our Vanguard circle skill. When she's placed on Vanguard circle, if one or more of your opponent's cards are imprisoned in your prison, you can count +1, soul +1, and draw a card. So prison, imprisoned, what's going on here? Well, here is your first ever prison card, which is also a set orders. This is a new type of card called set orders, which are basically order cards that when you play them, they go to the order zone and stay there for the entire game. That's what they said. They stay there for the entire game. We don't know if these can be destroyed by other effects. I assume they'll explore that space in the future, but I think it's cool. These are set spells basically that give effects for the entire game, and I think that's really nice. I've always wanted, like I said in my wishlist video, I've always wanted Vanguard to explore new things, new wacky things, you know, like tokens and stuff like that in the V series was sort of them exploring new things, but I really like that they're doing more new stuff, just exploring new things, like things that have not been explored in Vanguard in the past, and I think this is really cool. So what does this one actually do? So in order to actually play this card, you have to rest one of your units. So what this means is that when you're going first and you ride the Keanite Blue and she searches you, the prison, you can, because you can't attack that turn anyway, you can rest it and put it into play because you can't attack. So it's like, yeah, cool, very nice. And so then what does it do when it's put into play? When it's put into the order zone, you soul charge 3. We don't know why it's soul charging just yet, but in premium this is already nice because you could play this in like Novas and just soul charge a bunch for your Bustard and stuff like that. I quite like that. And then the actual order zone effect is when your opponent can normal call a rear guard, so basically during their main phase, they can perform the following. They can Soul Blast 1, and if they do, they can choose one of their imprisoned cards, so one of the homies that you put in Horny Jail, and they can call it to Vanguard circle, and this is treated as a superior call. And then otherwise, they can Counter Blast 1, and if they do, they can choose 2 of the imprisoned cards and call them to Vanguard circle. So basically, this is putting the homies in Horny Jail and your opponent paying bail to get them out. Soul Blast 1 to bail them out, Counter Blast 1 to bail them out, as you wish. And of course, you can do this multiple times. So if you, let's say the Brandt Gate player jails like 5 cards, you can Counter Blast 2 and Soul Blast 1 to free all of them and stuff like that. So it's really cool. I love this mechanic. It's like, it really is like locking up cards, but without actually having to bring back lock. You know, it's just literally taking away your opponent's resources and like controlling them in this way. and they have to basically get taxed to bring them back. And I think that's really, really cool. In a deck like Stoicheia, which is always soul blasting, they don't have the soul to be freeing them. They have to counter blast to free them. So I think it's going to be really interesting how the matchups also, you know, evolve over time as well. So yeah, they gave us this little visual of like new skill, prison and imprison. So basically you imprison your opponent's cards in the set order prison, galaxy, central prison, galactolus in your order zone. Opponents can call out imprison cards from prison by paying the cost. So it's really cool. And of course we top it all off with a grade 3. First we have the grade 2 actually, the Resat Pink, who says when you ride her, your opponent chooses a card from their hand and they put it into the prison. So they basically, this is actually interesting because due to the opponent choosing, they can basically take something that has like a good on play ability and then put it into the prison, and then next turn they just pay the cost and call it out and use that ability. So because the opponent chooses, they can kind of like finesse it a little bit, and like, you know, it's not as amazing as you would think. And also there's a thing where like, because, you know, you ride this on turn 2, then it goes to your opponent's turn, they can get it back on their turn 2 before you go to your grade 3 turn. So therefore that one card in the prison is probably coming back pretty soon. But again, you basically force them to pay Soul Blast 1 to get that card back by just riding. You just rode and didn't pay any cost, while your opponent will have to pay a cost to play that same card that they otherwise would have paid for free. So this whole deck is just about taxing, literally about taxing your opponent, and I love it. And of course the grade 3 drives this point home. This is Seraph Snow. I keep wanting to say Seraph White, but her effect is during your turn, if one or more of your opponent's cards are imprisoned in your prison, she gets plus 10k. But if 3 or more cards are imprisoned, she gets drive plus 1. So that's very DP like to me, getting that extra drive just like that for no cost. I think it's good. You have to work towards it a little bit because of course, as I said, the grade 2 only imprisons it, and then if they get it back the next turn, well, then it's gone already. But then of course her second skill helps you do that as well. Vanguard and Rearguard circle once per turn ability, counterblast 1, choose 2 of your opponent's rearguards and imprison them. So of course you have to make a choice here. You know, if you imprison something that has an amazing on play ability, they're gonna get to use it again next turn, so you have to be really careful with that. But this is cool because it is once per turn, but if you have her in Vanguard circle, use it once, imprison 2, and then you call her, use it again, imprison another 2. So you have 4, you get the extra drive. You're giving up your persona ride though, which is really important to keep in mind, but I think this is really cool. I personally think that this is a really, really cool direction for this nation, and you know, it's going to be a second build for this nation in the booster set as well, but I'm going to be really happy playing this. I think this is really funny and just a really cool direction for the nation. They managed to take like a mechanic from kind of it honestly, you know what this feels like to me? It feels like Narukami, which binds stuff. So it's like binding stuff, but you have the choice to get it back. When you play against Vanquisher in Standard or in Premium, and Vanquisher binds your stuff, you're never seeing it again. You're never ever seeing it again unless you play something that recycles stuff from bind. But here, it's like Vanquisher's bind, but you have the choice to Soul Blast or Counter Blast to get it back. And I think that that is really cool. I think that giving that extra interactivity between players is honestly really amazing, and I really enjoy this. Everything about this like checks the boxes for me, so I really can't wait to start playing it myself, and we got Best Girl playing it too. Also, if you want any of these overdress products, whether it's the starter decks or the upcoming booster set, you can order them on parkage.com if you live in Europe using the code DifferentFight for a 5% discount at checkout. A quick Q&A that I wanted to just quickly go over just to clear up any confusions. So, question, if there's only one Galactolus in the order zone, can I place only one card from the opponent? No, you can imprison any amount, multiple cards. So of course we saw that on the stream as well. When calling for prison, can I perform Soul Blast twice? Subsequently, can I Counter Blast twice? Yes, you can. You can use and call multiple times for prison as long as you're able to pay the cost. So that's also very, very nice. If I call from prison, can I call regardless of the current grade of the Vanguard? Yes, you can, because it's treated as a superior call. After calling from prison, can I use the ability of the called unit when placed? Yes, you can, so be careful with that one. Can I place multiple set order in the order zone? Yes, you can. Even with a set order in the order zone, you can still place set orders. So this kind of gives us a hint that maybe there'll be multiple prisons or different prisons that they print in the future, or some nations will just get a bunch of different set spells that give them all kinds of buffs. I imagine Keter Sanctuary will get some kind of order that gives all your grade 3s extra shield, honestly. And then if Fiorina in overdress state is imprisoned, does it move to prison together with the original dress? Yes, it does, and they become two separate units that are imprisoned, so that's a good matchup for Seraph Snow. So I like this so much. I absolutely love this direction. Now before, you know, I continue talking about anything else, Keita Mori, Mori P, our producer, he said something really, really cool that I absolutely love, which is our concept for the start decks goes beyond being simply an entry product. What we envision is for most, though we'd hope for all, of the main units in the start decks to continue being mainstays of decks for a long time to come. And as soon as I saw that, I went through every single starter deck and I was like, let me check something. Because we've had certain waves of starter decks where you take 1 or 2 cards that are usually supporting pieces and they support the booster set of decks. So think to the beginning of the reboot, you built an Alfred deck and you put in the Blaster Blade as a support card, right? You weren't building a deck around Alfred early, you took that thing out as quickly as possible. You know, those are like support cards. But then you think back to G, Chronojet, main grade 3 for as long as possible. Nitros, main grade 3 for as long as possible. The Messiahs, Luard, all these grade 3s that came from starter decks that were the cornerstone of the deck. They were the beginning of the strategy of the deck, and they were what held the deck together, or at least like gave it that extending play that continued from it. And I really, really like that. And honestly, so far, all 5 of these, you know, we've seen all of the 5 boss units so far from the starter decks, they kind of carry that vibe for me. Bruce has the, you know, the entire final rush mechanic to his own name. Bastion has the extra buff as well as the like Ashura style skill. Magnolia has the entire attack from back row mechanic, and this has the imprisonment mechanic. They do like embody their entire mechanics and carry the entire deck with them. So I'm really happy to see that. I'm really happy that this is the direction. I really like when they do that, when a starter deck that you use to get into the game becomes something that you can not only like start and just try out the game and then ditch later, you know, because that's what happens sometimes, like, right, the starter deck is good but you just ditch it to build a deck from the booster set. But here you can actually fully like take the starter deck, upgrade it with a few cards from the booster set, and you can go competitive, and that's absolutely amazing. Of course, keeping in mind that we will have full new decks, you know, full new like archetypes or aesthetics, whatever you want to call it, in that upcoming booster set. But I think this is an amazing direction. I'm really happy with it, honestly. Like, I cannot express how happy I am with this direction that the game is going in. And again, Keita Mori, you know, he brings it home one more time. So yeah, I like this a lot. I'm excited for how the matchups will go as well for the Brandt Gate starter deck. It's really interesting, and I'm honestly looking forward to even playing like the starter deck format at first, you know, just the 5 starter decks kind of like battling against each other. I think it's going to be really, really interesting. But please, we need to see the trigger effects, because so far, you know what they told us for next week? We're getting Masanori's cards. Yes, the bald shin, we are getting his cards, which is going to be like the grand blue looking aesthetic that you see here. So this is going to be really cool. The weird grand blue Jace, I think that's probably going to be his main unit. And then we're also getting Sentinel cards from the booster set. So this basically tells us maybe draw PGs are coming back. So we're getting Sentinels being revealed, but we already have grade 1 Sentinels from the starter decks. So I'm thinking draw PGs are coming back, and I'm really, really happy about that. I love draw PGs. That gives you more space in your grade 1s, and especially with the freedom of the ride deck, I want as much freedom in my non-16 trigger card deck as possible. And so draw PGs allow for extra freedom, and I think that is amazing. So yeah, I'm really hyped for what's going forward. I can't wait to start testing this. We just need the damn triggers for Dragon Empire, and we can actually start playtesting with the full Dragon Empire start deck. And I feel like that's why they're holding off. They don't want to let us playtest. They don't want to let us print proxies of the entire thing to actually get a feel for it. And I understand, but please, I want the accurate playing experience, man. But yeah, on that note, that's going to be it for today's video. This was the overdress news of the week. So look forward to next week when we get the first booster set cards. And we'll also recap as usual on the other cards revealed of this week as well. So on that note, that's going to be it for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.